Hello, my name is Mali and welcome back to my channel. I'm currently trying to finish all the books I started in 2026. We are left with 4 of them, one of them being The Count of Monte Cristo. This is the second book to the edition that I have. I have an edition that is split up in 2 books, and I think I'm only missing 240 pages. I thought I would be missing like 350. Anyway, so we're kinda not that far away actually from the end. The Count of Monte Cristo deals with. Oh, I'm so bad with explaining plots. It deals with Dante, and Dante was falsely accused by some people who were jealous of him of having betrayed the king. I think it's the king, being a traitor to France. So he is locked away, but he manages to escape. And then, like a decade later or something, he starts his path on revenge. I have to say, I think that I would have benefited from this more if I had been reading it like in one go. Because I started the first part of this in 2024, beginning of 2024 maybe, and I finished that over several months, and that was kind of fine. But then I took a long break before I started this, and then I got like halfway through and took another long break from it, and I think it makes more sense to read it in one. I did find on the internet obviously a chapter by chapter summary, but still I feel like something went lost because of me reading it so split up. I do still like it. I like all of the little details that we are getting, especially the later part. My edition is also split in a weird way. It's split in the middle of the page count, and I don't think that makes a lot of sense plot wise. I think, considering the plot, the split should have been at another point in the book, either earlier or later, but not where it was. So that might also contribute to me having difficulties getting back into the story. That aside, as I said, I do like it. I am excited to see the ending because right now it's between like a 3 and a 4 star for me, and I think it will depend on the ending. As I said, apparently it's only 240 more pages. I really thought it would be more, but I must have been reading more than I thought in the last 3 weeks. Oh yeah, it's also, what date is it today? I think January 25th. Yes, it's January 25th at 7 in the evening. I was thinking about going to sleep, but then my face started hurting, so I couldn't fall asleep. Yes, it's very early to fall asleep. I did not sleep a lot in the past few weeks. My sleeping issues have come back full force. But yeah, I think that's kind of all I have to say about this book right now. I do find the names confusing because I am bad with names anyway. And so in this, they use the first and the last names like on a regular basis, and I just can't remember whose first name belongs to whose last name. And then there are like 2 or 3 names that are just a little bit too similar for me to remember them. So yeah, maybe it would make sense to make like a chart next time I read this. I do think I will reread it at some point, even though I haven't even finished it. But I want to read it in one go in a few years. Little interlude. I did not manage to read a whole lot yesterday because I was in so much pain. It feels like someone punched like this side of my face. I did have a dentist, like a teeth thing going on last week, so it's probably from that. But still, it still hurts. I still have a headache, so reading is kind of not ideal right now. But I still have this wall of death. I call it that because it's at my bed. Like, this is where my head goes. And if this falls, that will hurt my head probably even more. Now, there is a solution for this. The solution is this. These are shelves that I got for Christmas, and I haven't managed to build them up yet. I'm really trying not to show you the other side of the room, because I like to preserve some dignity here, and that side is a mess. But these are going to go there, hopefully. I don't have a lot of time to build these. I have about, I think, an hour. Also, it snowed today, so I hope the trains are going. But yeah, we're gonna see how many of these we can build up in an hour. I think I might make a real about it on Instagram. I don't know how long my battery will hold. You will see at least the final product of this, and maybe some in between. But if I do a full video, it will be on Instagram. A little plug for my Instagram here. I'm done. I think if I figure out light situation, get the light to shine from like across, this might be a good place to film actually, in front of the shelf. Little explanation. I decided to leave out the back, which you can see the line where it should be going here and there. I did that because I want to be able to reach my books from my bed. So here are my unread nonfiction, these 4 shelves. Then down here are my unread fiction books. And then here are a few of my all of my leftover children's books I own, including over there in the corner the Harry Potter books. The others are not in any order, but I'm keeping them, but I don't want them to be shown on my channel because I hate throwing away books, but I also don't want to support what J.K. Rowling is doing. So that's why my Harry Potter books, as much as it honestly pains me, are over there. I think I told you I wouldn't be updating you again until I'm finished with the book. I've decided to give you another update, mostly because I have no clue where I left you off. It's been a couple of weeks, maybe more than a couple. So yeah, it's end of February. I wanted to be done with this by the beginning of the month, but that didn't work out. I still have about 100, pretty much exactly 100 pages left in the book. And a lot has happened in the past. As I said, I don't know where I left you off. The past 200, 300 pages, whatever it was. There's not like a whole lot that I would like to discuss with you at this moment, except for a few things. First of all, I find it very interesting how the fates of the characters that previously were responsible for Dante being thrown into prison, how these characters now experience similar situations or similar fates as Dante did. And I mean, obviously that's what the Count of Monte Cristo, who in the end is this young man Dante, or used to be him because he's not a young man anymore. It used to be him, so there's obviously the reasoning behind all of the characters somehow feeling like Dante did. And I don't mean this in the sense that they get thrown into prison and then have to suffer there for a decade or whatever it was that Dante was in prison. It's like I got the first part of this book in 2024, I think, so I don't remember the exact details of Dante being in prison. And I don't mean this in the sense that the people who were responsible for Dante being thrown into prison are now suffering themselves by rotting in a cell. I mean this in the sense that the characters have to deal with losing loved ones a lot, in different ways, in very, very different ways. And that is obviously something that Dante had to suffer as well, because when he was thrown into prison, I think he was there for like a decade. Life went on for his friends and family, or maybe it also did not go on. But essentially all of his relationships are just gone by the end of it, because everyone also just thinks that he's dead. Everyone thinks he's dead. So there's also not really a way to rebuild these relationships as Dante, especially since he is on this path of revenge and he cannot show people who he is. So those relationships are just gone forever, even if someone obviously recognizes them. There's one specific person in here who definitely knows who the Count of Monte Cristo really is. But that character can't say anything because they have gone on with their life. They have new relationships to people that were responsible for Dante being thrown into prison. So that character also can't really just rebuild the relationship, and also obviously it's not that they don't want to. I think it's more that for their own benefit, they know it's better not to. And the Count of Monte Cristo obviously agrees with this to a certain extent. But yeah, I really enjoy this parallel of Dante losing loved ones because of these people and then him taking revenge by doing the same thing to them. Another thing I enjoyed, which has happened in the past, I would say 50 pages maybe, is that for the first time, maybe not for the first time, but for the first time to this degree, we see the Count of Monte Cristo losing his composure. Because so far he has been this kind of cold, collected man who somehow became rich. He's known as this man who is always in control. You see him in control all the time. He has his plans, the plans work, everything works out for him. Until there's one scene, actually the first time he meets his fiancée again, his former fiancée, because obviously she isn't anymore. That's the first time we kind of see him lose composure, but not by as much as when he tries to save a young man from suicide that he has grown fond of. Now, he is kind of responsible for the reason this young man wants to commit suicide. It is, let's say it's a Romeo and Juliet adjacent story, maybe. It's kind of similar to that. Except that in this case, the Count of Monte Cristo actually manages to stop the young man. And he does so because, well, for one, he does actually like the young man, but also he has a connection to the father of the young man. Oh, I think I just moved the camera, sorry. He has a connection to the father of the young man, and he has helped that family before. And he stops the young man from killing himself. And that is the first time we really see him lose control, because he doesn't seem to know what's happening. He doesn't seem to know if the young man is actually contemplating suicide until he finds him. He runs, does he run up behind him? I think it's more of a, he sees the young man in despair, the young man disappears, and he goes and finds him and makes sure that nothing happens. It's the first time we really see him lose composure. There's another scene where he is in an argument with another young man, but in that case it's less him losing composure and more the Count of Monte Cristo deciding to go a different path than previously because of unforeseen developments. So he's not scared, he's not screaming, he's not losing control, he's just seizing control again in a different way in that earlier scene where he's in an argument with another young man that he really starts to like and that he really is fond of. And that young man, I actually like that relationship a lot more. I think it's my favorite relationship in this book, between Monte Cristo and the young man whose name I've forgotten, which just shows you how much I like that relationship, that I can just forget the name of one of the characters. But he is the son of one of the people responsible for Dante being in prison, and another important character, but that would be too much to tell you right here. But that young man is the son of someone that Dante wants to take revenge on, but then Dante grows fond of the young man. And that's another aspect that I really like about the relationship, about this conflicting feeling of the Count of Monte Cristo wanting to take revenge, but also kind of wanting to protect, really, this young man. At least that's how I read it. I don't know, I'm not always the one who picks up on every single detail in books. I think I understand it quite well, considering I read it in French, and French is like my third language and definitely not my best one. It's probably, well, Russian is my worst foreign language, but I only learned Russian for like 1 year, so it doesn't count. But French would be my worst language of the languages I actually kind of understand. But considering that, I think it's going quite well. It's just a little, sometimes I have to look up words So there might be things I'm missing, to be quite honest with you. There might also be things I'm missing just because I read it over such a prolonged amount of time that I might be missing some things in here. If you have a different reading, a different analysis of this book, please tell me. Anyway, that's my update for now. I do have laundry going and I have to put some more laundry in, and it's like, I think it's now past midnight, but I also have friends coming on Friday, and if it's past midnight, is it? Oh, it's exactly midnight, so it's Thursday now, and I have friends coming on Friday, so I guess I'll do my laundry, but also not be able to continue to read for now because I would like to clean a little as well, and I will at least clean the bathroom, and then I think my room I can do after I slept, so like tomorrow, but today. I just realized I might have forgotten to tell you the most important scene in the entire book. I am packing right now. It is another day because my internship is ending tomorrow, so I'm moving back. Well, for now I'm moving back to my parents. Who knows what's gonna happen next half year. Anyway, the most important scene, definitely, was when there are two young women who decide to run away together. And so they start dressing in men's clothing and tell each other how immensely handsome and pretty they are. And then they run away together, and later we see them sleeping in the same hotel room, in the same bed. And I thought that was a very important scene to share. Obviously, they're just friends, because this book was written in like, I don't even know when exactly, but they're just friends who dressed up as men, told each other how good they look, and then went and ran away together. Yeah. I finally finished it. Also, my dog just decided to come by. Oh, sorry, don't fall. So that's what's moving down here. The family dog. I'm looking after her for a while. I finally finished The Count of Monte Cristo. I can't believe I've read this story for I think 2.5 years. It took me so long. I've never taken this long to finish a single book, or I guess technically I finished them in 2 books, but it's one story, and it's never taken me so long to finish a single story that's a standalone. Anyway, I read to the last 100 pages. They were fine. It's definitely more of a 4-star book. I didn't love it, but I also didn't not like it. It also wasn't just meh. Meh would be like 3 stars in my rating. So I'm going with 4 stars on this. I think I gave the first part 4 stars as well. I did enjoy some things and I didn't enjoy other things. I quite enjoyed the character development we see of Dante throughout the whole story. We start with him being this clueless, naive guy, then he gets thrown into prison for something he didn't do, and then is there a scratch on my camera? Is that? I don't think you can see it on the video. Anyway, also today I'm blending in with the wall. I know I'm pale, I can't really do anything about it. At least not without risking skin cancer. Where was I? My brain is all over the place today. So there's Dante. He's this naive boy who gets thrown into jail for something he did not do, and then he manages to escape after like a decade or something, and then he becomes this man who is out for revenge, who has accomplished anything from the outside that a man could want to accomplish, and no one really knows what drives him, except we see him, or we know that he is so angry about what happened to him, rightly so, obviously, because he was entirely innocent, and he burns for revenge. And then he meets other young people who go through not similar things, but who at least also experience huge emotions, and also at some points things he planned don't go to plan. He loses control control over the situation. And so he starts doubting a lot of his plans and a lot of is what he does even right. Interestingly, in the last part of the book, I didn't really pick that up before, but I'm pretty sure it must have been in there before and I just didn't realize. There's a lot of talk about God and what God wants and what the devil wants and faith. And I only picked that up during the last 100 or 200 pages, but looking back at it, I think I might just have been a little bit blind to it because I'm so used to classics talking about God and about faith and about religion, because obviously it used to be this enormous thing, and it still is today for many people, but back in the day I think it was way bigger, especially in literature. So that was very interesting. I'm definitely gonna have to reread this in like 10 years time. I also think that maybe right now was just not the point in my life to read it. I think it might be the kind of story I would be really into, but I just think that because I had to read it over the span of 2.5 years because of my studies, because of a lot of things going on in my life, I just wasn't able to get into the story as much, and I just wasn't able to enjoy the story and to pick everything up that I might have otherwise realized, because I think there's a lot of things in here you can learn or see in the story that might be very interesting, and I just didn't manage to read it in little enough in an amount of time little enough, small enough, in a time frame small enough, I think would be the expression. Gods, I'm very energetic at the moment, which means that my English gets thrown around a lot in my brain. Anyway, so I found this character development really interesting. I also kind of like there's like some Romeo and Juliet like story going on, which I really liked. I like those two characters a lot. I think that it depicts very well it depicts young love very well, in my opinion. What I did not like, for example, in the last 100 pages, there's this one guy called Danglars, and he entirely, like, essentially his entire POV, I just didn't enjoy. I thought it was boring. It was kind of, I don't know, I understand what was in there. It was very important to Monte Cristo's revenge story, but I just couldn't care less about that part. And then another thing, in the last 5 pages of the book, I think, there's this female character that is essentially a slave to Monte Cristo, and she has appeared way before this, so she has always been she has been part of the story since Monte Cristo came back. But then there's like this thing that the Count of Monte Cristo tells her, and then the thing that she responds to that I just didn't like. She's a very young woman, and I think you can kind of guess where this is going, because Monte Cristo is like, I don't know how old at this point, but a lot older than she is, and also she was his slave, and you can definitely pick up by now what might happen at the end of the book here with these two people, and I did not like that. It gave me a weird feeling, it gave me the ick, maybe. It's like, didn't need that. In the last 5 pages as well, like, that was not relevant before. Like this could have been done differently. Yeah, overall, very happy with finally having finished this book. I'm not as hyped as many others maybe about it, but as I said, I think that just because I had to read it in like 2.5 years instead of maybe half a year, which, if you want to read this, first of all, I read it in French. French is my 3rd language. It's also technically my 3rd language, in the sense that it's the 3rd language I learned in my life, if we count German and English. I'm definitely better at Spanish. So this was at times not hard. I understood everything, I think. Sometimes I would just make sure with little summaries that I found online of each chapter, especially if I hadn't read the book in a while and was just picking it up again. But if you do read it in a language that is not your own, or a language you're not as good in, then you should definitely calculate a little more time just to make sure you actually pick everything up. But it is definitely readable in French. I would say that officially I have a French level of a B2. I would say it's more at a B1 because I can't actually speak. I can only read and listen. I can't speak or write, if I'm being honest. So if you are thinking about picking it up in French, it is possible, definitely. Anyway, continuing on with the second book of this video. I've been filming this video since the beginning of the year. It's now March. It feels like I've been filming so long. Anyway, oh, they got some tea on this book. Ignore that. The next book is Love Triangle, The Life-Changing Magic of Trigonometry by Matt Parker. This is what I'll be reading next. I started this summer of last year. I really enjoyed it. It's about triangles. It's about math. I can't really explain it. The author just shares his knowledge and love about what you can do with trigonometry. And I really enjoy reading books by people who are passionate about a topic, especially when they can also explain it. Because this is very easy to understand. It's definitely not high mathematics. If you're like a mathematician or an engineer or maybe a computer science person, this might be like very basic for you. But me as a social scientist, the only math I've done was in my economics classes, which is very basic math. And I definitely did not, I did think very little. I did do some stuff with triangles when you have to calculate the difference between 2 points and stuff, but it's not, you don't go deep into maths when you're in the social sciences most of the time. Maybe there's definitely exceptions to that in like statistics, but that's just not my area that I enjoy in university. So I haven't done maths in a while is what I'm saying. So reading about it is quite fun. I also definitely already learned a lot about different things. That sounds like I didn't learn anything. But I have started, and I actually thought that I had already written down some stuff in my little notepad here. I use this to write down things I learned from texts mostly, sometimes videos. It's not really too interesting for other people, I think, but I like to write down what I learn from time to time, especially when I have I don't have university going at the moment because I have done everything I need to do for my degree, so there isn't really anything I have to actively learn, which means that it feels like my brain needs to find something, and I like to do that by reading and then writing down what I learned. However, as I realized, I did not actually do that yet because I was planning to try a new method, which is reading it first and taping down by topic. So I have a tape here for, what is it? Asteroid, what does it even say? Asteroid something, it's over the text. Asteroid angle impact. And then I underlined in the book, oh, I don't know, it's in green, so you might not be able to see it. I underlined very short sentences. I'm practicing to not underline everything because I'm the type of person who in school would highlight every single sentence in the text because I would be like, okay, but this is important, and this is important, and this is important, and this is important, and then the teacher would ask only the most superficial question and I would have highlighted everything and wouldn't be able to find it because I had highlighted everything. So I'm practicing also with this to not do that because I'm still doing that to this day. And for university, that's kind of annoying when you have to read a text and have to also find out the most important things and then write them down in your notes, and I just essentially write down the entire text. It doesn't make sense, so we're practicing it with this book. Anyway, so I'm highlighting or underlining in this case all of the important, or like the most important sentences, and then I will write them down in here to hopefully make it as short as possible, while also revising what I read, while also writing down what I read so I can look at it at a later point and, you know, get a simple overview of the topic again. That is the plan. I don't know if it's gonna work, but we're gonna try anyway. Also, in case you're wondering, right now I'm living at my brother's because he is on a prolonged vacation and I was not able to find another internship, so I had to move back to my parents' hometown. But I've gotten used to not living with them, so as long as I can live alone, I will be living alone. He is coming back in the middle of March, so I'm gonna move back in with my parents if I don't have an internship until then. And right now it's not looking too good. I tried so many things, but maybe I'm bad at writing applications, maybe it's just the job market this year, maybe, but I don't know what happened. But I didn't get anything, so right now we're here until summer, which is when I'm starting my master's. But for now, I will be living here again, so this is the background. There's also a slight chance that the audio quality is not as good. I'm gonna have to figure out how to do that in post-production. I am done with Love Triangle, my god. I haven't put it yet in my notebook. I'm not sure if this would be technically a commonplace book. I'm uncertain about the right terminology for these kind of notebooks. I just call it my, I don't know, study book. Let's call it my study book or whatever. Do I need the light? I think this is enough. I have a little light here. So, it was fantastic. I loved. Can I put you here? I don't have a tripod here, so not really. It was a fantastic book. How do I do this? Oh, that is definitely dangerous because it just folds down behind you. There's like a little area above the ground floor on the flat, and you might fall, and the camera might die. I still have my phone. It was a fantastic book. It's definitely a 5-star book. I still don't know, again, if people who know about mathematics would like this, or if this would be too... I think the concepts themselves might be very basic. So, again, can I call myself a social scientist? I study something related to the social sciences, meaning I know only very basic maths. But for someone like me, this was pretty good. I really love the way that the author uses either everyday cases or maybe some more, well, extravagant cases to explain to you the concepts that he wants to explain. So he will use, for example, the road paint, like with the lines on the roads, and sometimes you have these bicycle paintings on the road to indicate that bicycles are supposed to go there. He chooses these examples and then explains the mathematics behind it. And in the end, honestly, everything just seems to be mathematics. Like maths is just everywhere apparently, which, to be fair, you kind of know that everything is maths, I think. But he just showcases it in so many different ways. And then, it's like he opens the door, closes it behind you, and then he will take a little piece of paper where you find all the formulas and concepts that you kind of are wary of because school just taught us that math is difficult. And he slips it under the door while you're inside of the room looking at some beautiful pictures. That's what he does essentially. Was that a good analogy? I am not sure, but that's the one we're going with. Yeah, as I said, I'm going to copy this. Not the entire book, obviously. I have like my little tabs in there. And I definitely underlined way too much. And this will take me a lot of time still to put it in there. I also looked up the author on YouTube because during the book he mentioned that he does podcasts and has a YouTube channel. And he talks exactly the way I imagined he would. The way he talks with a lot of enthusiasm, but at the same time kind of calmly, is just exactly what I imagined his voice in my head to be. What else? I think that's kind of it. This is the first time ever I understood the sinus, how do you say that in English? Okay, so sine and cosine. I think for the first time ever, I kinda, a little bit, got sine and cosine in their relationship to the tangent. I think they might just be very difficult concepts to grasp when you're 16 or whenever I was supposed to learn about that. Also, I did have a time in my school life when we would have, I think one semester, like 1.5 year, we had like 7 or 8 different math teachers, which was not good because I used to be pretty good at maths and then I got pretty bad. Not bad, but like not as good anymore because I just lost interest after having done the same thing again with 7 different math teachers. And I think we might have been supposed to learn about sine and cosine during that time. I don't know if we did, maybe I just didn't listen. I know we learned about it again as like a repetition thing later when we were like 16, 17. But that was a time when I was sick a lot, and I know that I was not in school the day that our teacher explained it again, because I remember getting the piece of paper with the explanation on it and sitting there like, I missed it again. Once more I didn't learn about it, which again, not really the fault of my math teacher and more because I was sick and I just never managed to explain it to myself really. Long story short, I think I kind of got it now. I think I kind of understand sine and cosine, but don't ask me to explain it. So, a couple of days later, I have finished putting everything into my notebook. I needed, I think 22 or 23 pages for this. I do write very tight. But yeah, I in the end did leave out some of the things I did have marked previously and added some other stuff. It was definitely a good practice to make sure that I only mark things that are important in quotes, because obviously I don't really need this for anything except my own pleasure. But it was a good practice and I really enjoyed doing it. I really enjoyed going through the book again, and especially since I had read the first third, maybe only the first quarter of this in the past summer, which is now like, oh god, 8 months ago? Has it been 8 or 9 months? Whew. Yeah, so it was a while since I read the first few chapters, and it was good to catch up on it again. I also think that going back to the few things that are already in this notebook, it definitely helps me to retain information, because going back I still remember a lot of the things from other texts I put in here. I don't have a lot to add to what I already said. It is a 5-star. I enjoyed it immensely. I definitely want to read more by this author. Funnily enough, I kind of by accident purchased another book by him for a friend, and I didn't notice until it arrived. Oops. At least I know that the author is good. Going through the book again, I also realized that the way this book is structured definitely helps a lot. It starts with a lot of basic concepts. However, I don't think that they are boring or shown in a more boring way, because obviously I've only been out of school. I graduated like 4 years ago, 4.5 years now, which seems like quite a lot, but it's not actually, if you think about all of the 12 years I was in school and also would learn. I mean, we don't start with with calculating the area of a triangle, obviously, but it is something you learned quite early, I think. Like, I definitely did it in 5th grade, maybe even earlier, probably way earlier. I remember having little cutout things in primary school. So I did like, what, 10 years, or maybe let's say 9 or 8 years of calculating triangles and other geometrical things. So it's not technically been that long if you compare it to that time. And also in university, did I have to ever calculate like the area of something for my statistics or economics classes? I don't, oh no, I did, but only like very, very basic stuff. Like that was, yeah, that was not advanced mathematics. But either way, I still remember quite a lot from my school days. I think I have a pretty good memory when it comes to these kind of things. Which is funny because I can never remember any plot for any book. But I remember things my teachers told me when I was 12. Which I guess is more important. I'm going off on so many tangents today. Point being, this starts with more basic things, but gives you immediately already a pretty interesting way to get into it. I don't even remember the very first. Yeah, no, I do. It's yeah, okay. It's I really remember it because I just looked at it. But it's about calculating distances and size in the universe. Because like, how do I even know how far away a planet or a collection of planets is if like we can't really measure it with a ruler? Imagine just taking like these 15 centimeters or maybe 10 centimeters rulers and going to like the space station. That would be a lot of work and probably not possible considering it's in a vacuum. How would they even draw a straight line? Sorry. What was I saying? Anyway, great book. I enjoyed it so much, and that is the rest I will say about this before I get into other topics that have nothing to do with this video. Okay, so that is actually the end of the video. I will start editing it today. As I said, it is now 6 minutes before midnight. And I always need so long to edit. I'm so slow at editing. I am planning on filming another video, but I'm not sure when I will be able to do that. That is not a vlog, which is like just a book haul. But I have to be at my mother's home for that, and I don't know when I get there the netake time. And also it takes a lot of time to film anything, so who knows. But the next, didn't I take the books with me upstairs? Okay, I got them now. I left them downstairs. The next 2 books in the next vlog that I will be filming, which will also be the last vlog in this mini-series of me finally finishing the books I started in 2025. The first book is The Crimson Petal and the White by Michel Faber. A story about a prostitute in, I think, 18th century Victorian London. Is that 18th century? I think so. We follow Sugar, who is a prostitute, and a man who is enamored by her, and he becomes obsessed with her, and then essentially purchases her, but she's kind of waiting for something to happen, because he then just kind of disappears for a while from her life. And there's a lot of things going on at the same time, and then also there's just nothing going on. It's hard to explain sometimes. I got to page 286 of how many is it? 835 pages. I got it quite far. I started reading this in London when I went there on a trip, and then I basically stopped after London because I had so many other books I was also reading, and then I also still had my bachelor thesis going on, so I didn't continue this. And then the other book is A Family History of the World, A Family History by Simon Sebag Montefiore, and this is a book about history following families. I only got to page 94 of, if we exclude the sources and the index, we have 1,264 pages. So this will take me way longer, especially since it's also written in very small spacing and small type, a small writing type? No. Font, a small font. My god. I started this actually I think in 2024 technically. Because I don't think I took this with me to Ljubljana. I started this when I was still living in Passau. So I must have started it in 2024. So yeah, it's been a long time coming to finish this. I actually remember enjoying the first 94, 95 pages that I read. So that is what's coming. Probably not next, because as I said, this will take me a while. But this will be the next vlog that is coming. What was that? There was a weird water dripping sound, and it's storming again outside. I swear every time I'm at my parents' place or at my parents' hometown, it's just autumn. It's continuously autumn here. There's no spring. We have autumn at the beginning of the year, then we get like a month of 35 degrees. It's not that bad most of the time, it's like 30 degrees, and then every single night there will be a thunderstorm with lightning and the world is basically ending. Then there's autumn again, and then it's just grey autumn. I mean, I think there was snow last year or this year. I don't remember because I wasn't here during that time. But every time I am here, it's just autumn. There is only storm and grey clouds. To be fair, like 2 or 3 days ago, we had a few nice days. It was a little bit sunny, but there's like it's always grey and rainy, and I don't get it. The climate doesn't make any sense. And the video should definitely end here, because otherwise I'm just gonna keep talking about nonsense and unimportant stuff. So I hope you have a great week or weekend, depending on when this video is coming. And I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you probably very soon.